Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Minnesota Mike back with you for another video. This is another one in the video series that I'm doing through the Memphis Songwriters Association, and I've been doing some blogs for them. You can check that out on our website, memphissongwriters.org. And then also I do a vlog series on YouTube that relates to the blog that I put out. So last time I talked about character development, and specifically I was talking about how the person singing is the main character, and everything in there is completely true. Minus maybe a few creative liberties. So we talked about Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and you can check out that video as well once you're done watching this one. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at another way to develop a character within the song. And that is where you are the main character and you're taking on another persona within the song. So this isn't necessarily something that's happened to you. Probably it's a composite character of people that you know, as opposed to somebody else, very specifically. So there are a handful of really good examples of this, but one of the ones that popped into my head immediately was Deacon Blues by Steely Dan. This is a song that was off of their 1977 album called Asia, which is just an absolute masterpiece. And this is a song, like I said, called Deacon Blues. So melodically, we have to kind of go back a little bit to talk about Steely Dan. So Steely Dan's sonic trajectory for their first 7 albums, from 72 to 80, it started with everything from calypso, heard on their song Do It Again, to piano and guitar-based hooks in their later albums. But Deacon Blues, and really its parent album Asia, they trade that for a slicker, kind of jazzier sound, thanks to the 40 plus studio musicians they used on the record. You probably heard that correctly, 40 plus, it's a lot. So this sound is especially appropriate on a song about a misunderstood suburbanite, which Steely Dan became very good at writing about. And this misunderstood suburbanite embraces the role of the tortured soul. So lyrically, while talking about character development and songwriting, like I said, few do it better than Steely Dan. Fagan and Becker both grew up in the suburbs of New York, went to school for a little bit in Annandale on the Hudson in New York. That's where my old school came from. It was about a raid at the college, a drug bust. But they kind of knew the type, right? Because they were the type. They were the weird kids. And as Fagan titled his autobiography, kind of the eminent hipsters of the era and the area. So a lot of that, because they would write about these characters, some of them were probably projections of themselves, but some of them were probably other people that they knew. So people who were too cool for school, but still have the audacity to play the underdog in society. And that's where we meet Deacon Blues. So we all know that type of person discussed in the song. I also can't talk about the lyrics without mentioning the idea of having a separate name for the winners and the losers of this world. So Asia was released in 1977, less than a week before The Stranger, Billy Joel's album. The differences, of course, between Billy's characters and the narrator in Deacon Blues, the main difference is that the narrator in Deacon Blues, you're really rooting for him, right? But I know a lot of New Yorkers. Billy Joel kind of drives him nuts, and his characters are really, really arrogant. And that's not to say that Deacon Blues wasn't, but it's kind of the tortured soul mentality. And so you oddly are rooting for these people who are these outsiders looking in. So yeah, you're strangely rooting for him. Anthony is a good example in Moving Out. Anthony's song, I hate that guy. But uh, Deacon Blues, somehow, I want him to succeed. So structurally, this is where things get really interesting. So as I said, Asia is just an absolute masterpiece, both melodically and lyrically. But there's definitely a little more emphasis on the melodies, the music, and all of that. And that's kind of what you get when you have that many studio musicians. But this is all, Fagan and Becker's ideas, right? That's why they had so many to kind of carry that out. So Deacon Blues follows the verse chorus format, but there are plenty of solos in between for the listener to kind of get lost in, and that's really what I do when I listen to Asia. Is I just get lost in it, lyrically as well, but melodically for sure. So any good song is going to mirror the moment that it's trying to capture, but the structure of this song just seems so meta, right? It's got this beautiful smoothness to it, which is exactly the slick persona that Deacon Blues is trying to have on stage. So I would definitely suggest listening to it. Creating that character like Moving Out, Anthony's song, creating the character like Anthony is definitely something you want to pay attention to. So in the blog, um, I put a link to the song Moving Out, Anthony's song, and that'll be in the comment section of this particular video as well. But Asia, like I said, is just a great example of taking on the persona of somebody else. And, this didn't necessarily happen to you, but we all know who everybody's talking about, right? We all know who Fagan and Becker are talking about here. And I do want to point out, although, this video is going to obviously, have a long shelf life, but Alabama did not have a very good year last year. And so maybe we should start calling them Deacon Blues. I don't know. That's just a thought. I'm sure you'll roast me in the comments for that, but that's okay. Keep in mind I'm a Big Ten guy. I don't have a dog in this fight. But anyway, as always, I am Minnesota Mike. Happy writing. I hope that this helped. Make sure that you check out all my other videos on tips for songwriting and all of that. My other blog has to do with you don't have to write a hit to write a hit, but it still employs some of these same strategies of structuring your songs certain ways and all of that good stuff. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out the Memphis Songwriters Association's website, and that's memphisongwriters.org. I am also on Instagram and Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, all your favorite streaming platforms. All is Minnesota Mike. Thank you so much.